Welcome, friend, to another journey together. Tonight you are about to receive the hidden keys to letting go, ancient wisdom that has been passed down through generations of Zen masters to unlock deep, easy peace. Feel free to share what time it is and where you are listening from. I have gathered a collection of rare and life-changing stories designed to reveal the lost art of mental and emotional release. Each tale is a guide meant to break down your relationship with worry, frustration, and the restless mind. These are not just stories to be heard. They are teachings to be felt. They come from masters who mastered the one secret that escapes so many, that our freedom is not found in gaining more, but in gracefully letting go. One of the most basic truths the Buddha taught was the root of suffering is attachment. Over the next few hours, these timeless tales will show exactly how to loosen that grip and find the peace that is already waiting inside you. As you listen, you may notice a gentle shift begin to happen. The weight you've been carrying on your shoulders may feel a little lighter. The volume of your inner talk may begin to soften. You'll feel yourself naturally drifting into a state of deep clarity and deep healing rest. So settle in deeply now. Let your body sink into whatever supports you. Take one mindful breath with me. And as you breathe out, simply allow yourself to receive these ancient teachings, which have a way of finding us at the exact moment we need them most. Let us now explore our first story about the true nature of wealth and burden. A Zen master traveled the countryside with nothing but a simple cloth bag, walking from village to village, sharing his teachings. His happiness was clear to all who met him. His face peaceful, his step light, despite the many miles he traveled each day. In one wealthy village, a rich merchant approached him, his forehead wrinkled with worry lines that spoke of sleepless nights. "Master," the merchant said, bowing nervously, "I have everything a man could want: gold, land, fine clothes, servants. Yet my mind knows no peace. I am filled with the fear of losing what I have. Tell me, what is your secret to being so happy with so little?" The master's eyes twinkled with gentle mischief. "Let us make an exchange for one day," he suggested. "You give me what you value most, and I will give you what I value most. But we must return these treasures at sunset." Curious despite his worry, the merchant agreed. With shaking hands, he presented a heavy pouch filled with gold coins, his most prized possession. In return, the master reached into his worn cloth bag and pulled out something that made the merchant gasp. It was a diamond of extraordinary beauty, perfect and brilliant, catching the afternoon light like captured starfire. The merchant's heart raced with excitement. This single stone was worth more than his entire fortune. But as he held it, something unexpected happened. The initial joy changed into a crushing weight of terror. The diamond was too valuable to put down, too precious to trust to anyone else. Every person passing by became a possible thief. Every shadow hid danger. The merchant spent the day in a state of extreme worry, his mind racing with fears, his body tense with worry. When sunset came near, he rushed back to the master, pushing the diamond toward him with desperate relief. "Please take it back," he begged. "The burden is too much to bear. It is too heavy to carry." The master accepted the diamond with the same calm with which he had given it, returning the gold coins to the merchant. As the exchange was completed, the merchant felt a huge wave of relief wash through his entire being. "The lesson," the master said softly, "is not in the diamond itself, but in your relationship to it. You were not carrying the diamond, you were carrying your fear of losing it. True wealth lies not in having the treasure, but in your ability to hold it lightly, and when the time comes, to let it go." Buddha's wisdom reminds us, you only lose what you cling to. The heart of this lesson lies in understanding the difference between having and grasping, between appreciation and attachment. We suffer not because of what we have or lack, but because of our desperate clinging to things that are by their very nature temporary. Why do we turn blessings into burdens through our attachment? Zen Buddhism teaches that the ego creates a false sense of safety by collecting and controlling. We believe that if we can just gather enough money, enough success, enough love, we will finally be safe. But this plan backfires because it makes us prisoners of our possessions. The more we have to lose, the more we live in fear of loss. Consider how this plays out in modern life. The promotion we worked so hard to get becomes a source of stress as we worry about keeping our performance. The relationship we treasure becomes suffocating when we grip it too tightly, afraid our partner might leave. The beautiful home we saved for becomes a burden when we're constantly worried about mortgage payments or property values. Zen Master Suzuki Roshi taught, "Each of you is perfect the way you are, and you can use a little improvement." This puzzle points to the middle way between careless not caring and obsessive attachment. We can appreciate beauty, work toward goals, and care for what matters without the crushing weight of clinging. The diamond in the story represents all the gifts life offers us: relationships, experiences, achievements, even our own lives. These gifts are meant to be held with open hands, appreciated fully while they're present, and released gracefully when their time has passed. When we grasp too tightly, we squeeze the joy out of the very things we're trying to protect. Buddhist teacher Pema Chodron reminds us the root of suffering is resisting the certainty that no matter what the circumstances, uncertainty is all we truly have. The merchant's suffering came not from the diamond's value, but from his resistance to the uncertainty built into having something precious. The practice of letting go doesn't mean becoming uncaring or careless. It means developing what Zen calls don't know mind, a state of openness that can receive fully without grasping desperately. When we hold our treasures lightly, we can actually enjoy them more deeply because we're not eaten up by the fear of their loss. Tonight, as you consider what you might be holding too tightly in your own life, can you experiment with loosening your grip just slightly? Perhaps it's your savings account, your relationship status, your career path, or even your self-image. What would it feel like to appreciate these gifts without the exhausting effort of trying to control them? As the Buddha taught, in the end, just three things matter: how well we have lived, how well we have loved, how well we have learned to let go. Our next story reveals how we create suffering through our refusal to let moments pass. A provincial governor, a man used to respect and control, visited a famous Zen master. As they sat for tea in the master's simple rooms, the governor filled the air with stories of his power and influence, describing the complicated affairs of state he managed with great self-importance. The master listened with patient attention, his gentle smile never fading. When an attendant arrived to serve tea, he moved with practiced grace, first filling the master's cup with steady hands. As he turned to pour for the governor, a small fly, seemingly from nowhere, buzzed wildly through the air and dove directly into the stream of hot tea, falling with a tiny splash into the governor's cup. The governor's face changed instantly into a mask of rage. He slammed his fist on the low table, making the cups rattle. "How dare you serve me this dirty tea?" he roared. "This is an outrageous insult to my office. Have this incompetent fool punished immediately." The master calmly lifted his own cup, took a slow, mindful sip, and looked at the governor with eyes full of compassion. "The fly," he said in a voice like still water, "had no intention of offending you. It was simply flying as flies do. The tea had no intention of receiving it. It was simply hot liquid in a cup. The cup had no intention of holding either. It is simply a vessel. Each element was just being itself." He paused, allowing his words to settle. "The fly is dead. The tea is no longer drinkable. That part of the story is finished. But why are you choosing to keep it alive in your mind? Why carry this tiny corpse with you for the rest of the day?" The governor sat in stunned silence, feeling the heat of his anger slowly drain away like water from a broken dam. In its place came the uncomfortable knowing that he had been disturbed not by a fly, but by his own refusal to let the moment pass. The Buddha once said, "Holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You are the one who gets burned." What comes from this story is our tendency to make suffering last by refusing to let unpleasant moments die their natural death. Why do we cling so stubbornly to our complaints? Zen Buddhism points to the ego's investment in being right, in keeping its sense of importance and control. When something doesn't match our expectations, the ego creates a story about why this is wrong, unfair, or personally offensive. We become so identified with this story that we forget it's just a mental construction we're choosing to keep. The fly in the story represents all the small irritations that mark our days. The traffic delay, the rude comment, the spilled coffee, the technology that won't cooperate. These incidents are like weather patterns in consciousness. They arise, exist briefly, and naturally pass away. But we often grab onto them, replay them, add to them, and carry them forward long after their natural lifespan has ended. Think about your own experience. How often do you find yourself repeating conversations from hours or even days ago, continuing arguments that are already over? How much mental energy do you spend on things that went wrong, situations you can't change, or people who disappointed you? Each replay is like keeping the fly alive in your tea, contaminating the present moment with the leftovers of the past. Vietnamese Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh teaches, thanks to impermanence, everything is possible. The governor's anger seemed so solid, so justified, but it was just another temporary thing arising and passing away. His suffering came from trying to freeze this moment, to keep it alive through righteous anger. The practice of letting go doesn't mean becoming passive or allowing others to treat us badly. It means recognizing when we're holding on to something that's already finished, when we're bringing life to the corpse of a dead moment through our continued attention to it. We can address practical issues. Perhaps the attendant needs better training, without carrying the emotional leftovers forward. Japanese Zen emphasizes the concept of mono-no-aware, the touching awareness of the impermanence of all things. Even our irritations and disappointments are temporary visitors in consciousness. When we stop feeding them with our attention, they dissolve naturally, making space for whatever wants to arise next. Tonight, as you notice your mind returning to some small disappointment or irritation from today, can you ask yourself, is this fly still alive, or am I keeping its corpse in my tea? Can you honor the natural passing of moments by letting them go when their time is done? As the Buddha taught, do not dwell in the past, do not dream of the future, focus the mind on the present moment. Let us continue our journey with a tale about finding plenty in loss. The beloved poet monk Ryokan lived in deep simplicity in a small hut nestled at the foot of Mount Kugami. His life was a prayer of contentment, finding joy in the smallest natural wonders. Each spring, he would watch with childlike delight as tender bamboo shoots emerged near his home, checking on their progress daily like a parent watching over growing children. One particular spring morning, Ryokan walked to the nearby village to share teachings with the local farmers. The mountain air was crisp and clean, filled with the songs of returning birds. He spent the day in gentle conversation about the Dharma, his heart full of peace. As evening approached and golden light began to slant through the forest, he made his way home along the familiar mountain path. Upon reaching his hut, Ryokan discovered that someone had dug up all his treasured bamboo shoots. The earth where they had been growing was scattered and empty, small holes marking where each tender shoot had been carefully pulled out. A visiting student who had arrived earlier witnessed Ryokan's discovery and was immediately filled with righteous anger on his teacher's behalf. "Master Ryokan," the student exclaimed, his face flushed with anger. "That neighbor has stolen your precious bamboo shoots. We must go to him immediately and demand he return them or make proper amends. He has robbed you of your spring joy." Ryokan gazed quietly at the disturbed earth where his shoots had grown, showing no trace of sorrow or anger. His expression remained as peaceful as mountain lake at dawn. After a long moment of thinking, he turned to his agitated student with eyes that sparkled with gentle amusement. "Yes," he said simply, "the bamboo shoots are gone. That much is true." He paused, then raised his arm to point westward, where the sun was setting in a magnificent display of orange and purple fire across the sky. But look, he could not steal the sunset. Ryokan's teaching showed a deep truth. When we release our grip on what has been taken from us, we remain open to receive the beauty that can never be owned by anyone. Buddha spoke of this when he said, "If you let go a little, you will have a little peace. If you let go a lot, you will have a lot of peace." This ancient wisdom shows how loss becomes freedom when we stop defining ourselves by what we've lost and open our eyes to what remains endlessly available. Why do we become so eaten up by what has been taken that we miss the gifts still being offered? Zen Buddhism teaches that the mind creates a false scarcity by focusing obsessively on the missing piece rather than appreciating the wholeness that surrounds us. We develop tunnel vision, seeing only the empty space where something used to be, blind to the abundance that continues to flow. Consider how this pattern shows up in daily life. When someone cancels plans, we might spend the evening frustrated about the social connection we